All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks again for checking in. This is Ernie Ramirez with the E29 Podcast, once again brought to you by Adam Schwartz Media and 100% Media, and again by Chihuahua Cerveza, a proud sponsor of the E29 Podcast. If you're out in the Newport area, stop by the tap room and see my friend Phil and all of the fine folks at Chihuahua. Today, folks, I am fortunate to have a new friend, a new baseball brother, and I have today with me Sam DiMatteo from College of the Desert. Sam, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So this is the first time we've actually met, and we have that social media era where everybody knows everybody. And so I was kind of looking at some of your posts, and you got a lot of interesting things going on. But being that you are the head coach at College of the Desert, I want to find out a little bit about your baseball journey. How did you end up where you are today?
Okay. How much time do you have? No.
Hey, we're here to keep rolling.
I began my college career in California University of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So upgraded to the real California out here. But yeah, it's a kind of a funny name out there. It's a D2. It's usually good with athletics and near because I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I played there and got a chance to get into pro ball after that. Started my career with the Washington Nationals and played for 6-7 years or so and jumped around. I think I was on a different team every year. Okay. So I was all over the United States. I was never on the same team twice, and kind of stuck in the independent pro ball grind, which is a very interesting route for the guys that are there, the guys who have taken it. And moved up and down with that. I think I was at the very bottom of that, hanging on, a couple injuries and surgeries, scrapping at the bottom, and then kept going and was in the mid range of that. And then towards the end, I got to play in the Atlantic League, which is, I think, more at the top. Mm-hmm. And so I got to see a little bit of everything and meet a lot of awesome people and go a lot of awesome places. And now that it's all over, now obviously I'm getting into the coaching and stuff like that. But it was a wild ride for sure. Learned a lot and had a lot of awesome people with me, backing me up along the way. Very, very tough thing to do. Very stressful. Stressful on your mind, stressful on your body. But a lot of awesome things came with that journey as well, Mm-hmm. So loved all of that. Now that it's over, a lot less stress mentally, I think. Mm-hmm. It was a tough thing to go after. And now I'm coaching out here in Palm Springs, California at College of the Desert, in Palm Desert out there. So the way I got out here was starting my coaching career with the Palm Springs Power.
Okay.
And funny how I got here was I played against my assistant coach with me is Casey Dill.
Okay.
And I played against him when he was managing pro ball when I was still playing. And whenever my career was over, he got a hold of me and said, "Hey, we want a hitting coach out here for our summer team. I enjoyed watching you play. I liked your style of baseball and how you played. Do you want to come be my hitting coach?" And I didn't have to think too hard about that one. Mm-hmm. Coming from Pittsburgh and moving into California, I love it out here. Mm-hmm. Got to play here a couple years, and so got to coach under Casey. Won a couple championships with the Power. Kept meeting a few people out here. Moved out here to try to make it work, and it was the assistant coach for a little while at College of the Desert, and then kind of promoted into head coach in 3 years. So that is where I'm at, as quickly as I can make that. But I've always been a baseball person forever, always been a athlete all through high school football and growing up like that. And that was my dream. There's nothing else I wanted to do. I knew it was going to be sports no matter what. Play sports. If sports doesn't work out, coach sports, open up a facility. I knew it was going to be sports. So it's been good. That's what I've been able to do. That's what I was set on doing, and I'm there. Now it's just lock in, learn, keep moving up, and see where this takes me.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting because I was talking to Justin that you met on the way in, and I was telling him that I've kind of seen that there's a theme to all of this. Of course, I'm bringing in quality baseball guys and just good guys. And so when I listen to your path, it always creates more questions. And so a couple things I wanted to get into. If you remember, or as best you can, what were some of your stops along the way in the minors?
Just like you mean from which teams?
Yeah, which towns.
Oh, yeah, I could throw that together quick. I just have to remember. So I know I started with the Nationals. That was in Melbourne, Florida, spring training. And then we went to Ruidoso, New Mexico.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little ski town, kind casino area. I had never heard of it. And then after that, Traverse City, Michigan.
Okay.
But that didn't end good. That was shots in the elbow and all that deal, and I didn't even play that year. That was a rough year. After that, Trinidad, Colorado.
Okay.
And then after that year, Fort Worth, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And after Fort Worth, Texas was Old Orchard Beach, Maine.
Wow. Okay.
And then after Old Orchard Beach, Maine was Sonoma here in California.
Okay.
And after Maine was New York area with it, the Long Island Ducks.
Okay.
So yeah, that's
a lot. You can see me going through the map in my head. I'm like, man,
a lot of miles.
That's good though, because you get to see different parts of the area. And so one of the other questions that I have now, and I just mentioned this with Justin, there always comes that point where we look at making that decision, keep playing, move on the other direction to some totally different line of work, like you said, maybe another line of sports, training, things like that, or coaching. So was coaching something that you had in the back of your mind as a player, or was that something that just came up and you thought about it and then decided to go that direction?
No, absolutely. It was building up for a long time, because when I would come home in the winters, it was kind of like a repeating cycle where you leave for 4 months, 5 months play, then the winter comes and I go back home to Pittsburgh, and doing that baseball stuff, not making good money. So I would come home and live in my parents' basement, since forever, since my first run at pro ball. That was the thing. Go play, come back in the winter, and I would teach lessons at a baseball facility in New Brighton. It was called Sports Zone. They saved me, because they allowed me to do whatever I needed to do in there to stay afloat, to do lessons, to do clinics, I had a key that let me, and I did lessons out of there every winter for years.
Wow.
6 years, 7 years. Awesome people over there. And so doing high school kids, college kids, little kids, throwing weight programs. So really, it actually was a good intro to this stuff now, because I was kind of doing this type of thing,
sure.
Along the same lines. So I knew that I'd like lock into more, when this was all done, like, what do I really want to do with this? How do I want to deal with college kids? Do I want to deal with high school? Do I want to, and college was definitely what I wanted to start this out with. So that worked out well. But so I knew this is what I wanted to do. So pulling the trigger and like you said, when that time comes of do I want to be done playing baseball for the rest of my life, man. That's a really good question to ask any baseball player that's played for a long time, because it's just part of you. It's I'm brainwashed. Like I still catch myself running sprints yesterday, and I'm like, what am I doing? It's just it's not out of me yet, to go run, to go lift, to go get better. I just can't help it.
Yeah.
And that's how I was. That was my life as a baseball player. It's who I was as a human. It's all I knew. So that was a very, very hard decision to say I'm done, because that's all you ever do. It's all I've ever done for my whole entire life, and to say, yep, it's done. That's a tough decision. But man, was it was time 3 years before, my body was cashed out. I had a lot of surgeries, and the killer was not being able to perform like you used to be able to.
Yeah.
That's a stressful thing for yourself. And you play, and other people and coaches watch you play, and you deep down this is not me, but I can't help it.
Yeah.
And it started to get to that point after I had a couple really big surgeries, and my surgeon said, "You're done." They told me and my parents and the hospital. I remember watching my mom cry and my dad all bent out of shape, and me in the back of my head, I knew I was going to keep playing. I knew I wasn't that bent out of shape. I knew that I would play again. I was like, maybe it'll hurt, maybe it won't be as good. Like, geez, my arm didn't fall off. So, but they were right. It was, I couldn't do what I used to. I couldn't lift, start losing weight, start losing confidence, all that together, and then you look at the stats and you're a basic player now, you're an average player now. And that was hard to accept. But a couple years of that, and it was like, you know what? And then coming back and living in my basement, it was like, man, this is pretty much it.
Yeah. It's interesting that transition, because as a player, your mind has to push you through physically so many things that you're not able to do, fatigue, soreness, things like that. And then you get to that point where it's the other way around, where your body knows it's time, but your brain doesn't want to tell you it's not there yet. And so you have to make that transition. So you come out to California from Pittsburgh, and you said there was no hesitation coming out here. Was one of the stops when you were in Sonoma, was that something that you kind of thought, hey, I really like this part of the country? Or was there any other places? Because you were all over. Mm-hmm. So was there any other places that you went that you thought, hey, maybe down the road this might be a place where I want to settle? Or
That's an awesome question because it's so easy to answer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. California was my place I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was playing, when I was at high school, college, pro ball, I had just California palm trees and the vibes here and the ocean and the mountains and snow and it's the weather, and
mm-hmm.
it's just, and especially growing up in Pittsburgh, we're snow, clouds,
mm-hmm.
rain, not a ton of exposure, little state,
Sure.
So I always would that map of the stats that always pop up where it shows you the hot states, this is how many kids get drafted here, and so
Sure.
and you see how different it is. Florida,
mm-hmm.
Arizona, California, Texas, Florida, Arizona, California, those big time states. I always looked at that. I always
mm-hmm.
looked at that and was like, man, this is, I'm in Pittsburgh. Look at
mm-hmm.
the numbers compared to this place, and so I kind of, as a baseball player, always wanted to be over here,
mm-hmm.
And even though it happened, I did get a taste of it though,
mm-hmm.
Sonoma, and then they did. I don't know if you've ever seen the Pecos League, the TV mm-hmm. show they did on our. Oh man, that is an interesting show. But they flew me and one of the players out to L.A.
Mm-hmm.
You can imagine that. I've never been out to that area.
Sure.
But they flew us out there to do like commercials and like this kind of stuff. And we're in the studios with Christina Thompson and all these people that I always see on TV.
Yeah.
And they're talking. We were terrible in those interviews because we were not used to it. And these TVs everywhere. Yeah, I had to redo one. I was like, I don't think I made any sense. Can we run that back? They were like, no. Like Barkley was on here yesterday. He didn't get 2 takes.
Yeah.
You don't get 2 takes. So, but that was a cool experience, and all that together, I think I always wanted to be out in California. Mm. So, man, I pray every day. I lay on my bed and I'm like, holy shit, I'm here. And I'm like, what? Mm. Sometimes I let it slip by because I'm getting used to it.
Yeah.
But very grateful, and it would not have happened without Casey calling me, all these little bits and pieces. It's crazy to look back and see how you got somewhere.
Right.
It takes a long time for that to happen.
Yeah.
I'm 33 and I'm getting to that point where I can look back and look at all these little bits and pieces, and some of them are bad, some of them good, some of them really bad, but like the really bad sent me here, and there I met this person, and that's why I went here. And like you look back and it's like, man, it's crazy to see it all line up. But you can't see it till you're older, or until you go through it all. And I try to tell my kids that. It's a hard thing to explain.
Yeah.
When bad things happen to them, it's very present. This sucks right now. This is terrible right now. I feel terrible,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like maybe 5 years later, they're going to go, oh, well, that bad season led me to this, and that put me here. So I think that's something my brain is starting to do differently as I get older, is just maturing, I guess you could say.
Yeah, you start to appreciate the journey, so to speak. And it's interesting listening to you because I'm here for life. I've been here since I was born, and I'll probably, because I've traveled enough through baseball to kind of know I like the warm weather. And then even here in California, there's different degrees of warm weather. If you go out to the beach, there's a 60, 70, but it's still nice and warm weather. You go out where you're at in Palm Desert, then you're kind of pushing that
hot
meter.
Too hot.
Yeah, there's that 115, 116. So you kind of find that place where you're comfortable. And, for you growing up in Pittsburgh, looking out here, I've never seen it from that perspective, because most of my friends grew up out here, or they've been here long enough to be almost natural Californians. And then even in California where you were at in Sonoma, that's a whole different part of the state. There's probably 3 different states within California.
Yeah, as big as 3 states.
Yeah, and the climate, and then the vibe, and then the whole cultures. You go to that San Francisco area, you go to that Central Coast area, and it's all different. Even within here, from Palm Desert to Riverside to LA to Ventura County, it's all different. And that's to me, it's always been one of the cool things about it. You can be in a different place and never leave your own state. So you come out to California and you're coaching out in Palm Springs. And so when you started doing that, was that something that you were still maybe thinking about trying to play again? Because I know you're around a lot of college guys in the collegiate league, and you're still kind of at that age where you could probably compete. You look like you still keep yourself in shape, and that always goes through your mind. With those guys, you're like, oh man, I can hit that guy. Or you're watching that guy throwing the bullpen, and you're like, I kind of think maybe. Did that ever creep in there?
So there's like both with that. So what's crazy is my elbow. So you could see it's nasty. Like I have an 8-inch cut. There's pins and plates, and like this big ball sticks out.
Okay.
It's kind of nasty looking. I can't swing a bat anymore.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I can't throw a ball anymore. Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow, I was supposed to get the Tommy John surgery, and I was just like. Well, I'm an outfielder, so it got to the point where it would be so bad. And I'm like, man, I throw a ball like 3-4 times a game, and I would just suck it up. But it was bad. It was so bad. Yeah. And I remember telling I had never told coaches or players. I never put this in. I could do it now. But, when there would be sometimes I call my parents, and I'm like, something is destroyed. I'm destroyed. Yeah. I'm telling you. I'm like, I can play with pain. Mm-hmm. This arm was destroyed. I knew it was so bad. And they always would try to put shots so I didn't have to get a surgery, and it was just destroyed. Yeah. This arm, why I can't swing anymore is now that I let it like settle, and I'm done like being so active with it. It does not turn, it doesn't straighten. Sure. I lost a lot of range of motion. So what's crazy is like I can't play baseball anymore. Like my body is cached completely. Yeah. I can run. This just is a new thing. I used to not be able to run full speed. My groins, I had like tears in my groins, and then something with my ankle, my Achilles, and I think all that is cleared up since I don't run anymore. So like recently I've been running, and like I can almost get full speed. And I'm like, wow, it's been a long time since I felt like this. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I just can't do. I would never be able to make a comeback. It'd be impossible. I'm annihilated. Well, look all right on the outside, but man, inside I'm banged up.
I was gonna say you've got kind of a stuntman resume where you start pointing out different things. You're like, how'd you get that from baseball, man? That's a heck of a resume there. But so that put aside, that's a totally different way to go about not having to play again. Again, everyone's got that different reason why they stopped. Yours was almost in some ways. Maybe it made your decision a lot easier because that physical pain is something that's tough to deal with. Anymore. Yeah, and then at your age too, do I want to feel this way for the next 50 years?
Yeah, well, that's how I'm going now. Now I'm like I got all these body parts that are like barely hanging on. Yeah. I'm only 33.
Yeah, and it doesn't get better. So, it gets tougher as you get older. Well, and I can tell you out there in the sun is the place to be because that definitely helps.
Oh my gosh, it's so much better.
Yeah, loosen up your joints and you don't have to creak in the morning when you get up. It's a great
when
place for you to be.
When I go home, I feel it.
Yeah.
When I go home over Christmas break and things like that, I do terrible. I go to my gym at home and it's like it's always bad. That cold, man.
It's like bubble wrap.
Yeah. So that's a very real thing. This heat.
Also, that's another good reason to come out. So you're finished in the collegiate league there, and you're starting your coaching. So when you came out, tell us a little bit about the league. You can kind of give them a little pitch because you've actually been in it, and I've seen it online, and I've seen a few players that have posted things. But maybe tell me a little bit about that league.
Yeah, definitely. So last year was my first year coaching in it. I recruit guys for it. Guys from all over the country and a few guys out of the country as well. I think we always have like a few Japanese players. And a couple of my people I've met through my nonprofit in Colombia. Okay. They were little, but now they're high school and college age, and they want to come out and play. And
sure.
So cool to have that. But it's basically a developmental league. It runs for about a month. Like the plan coming up, I know with the virus stuff, it's making a lot of things much more difficult. But the plan, and as of now, I think we're pretty close to being on track. Is the month of June. Maybe like mid-June to mid-July, I think it might have to go to. I think it has to get pushed back. Not 100% sure. But it's a developmental league where it can be freshmen to seniors in college. And then there's always a handful of seniors coming out of high school that'll play in it as well. But man, it's such a good combination of players. It's of the level of play. A couple D1 athletes, couple D2, couple D3, NAIA, JUCO. Kids come out of high school, so you kind of get like this big ball of different type of levels of play, and it makes it very interesting, And then what else is nice from an exposure standpoint is of 12 teams, there's a college coach coaching every team. Okay. So same thing, one D2 coach, couple D3 coaches, a JUCO because I'll be there, JUCO. I think Long Beach State has a coach in it this year. We got a D1 guy, it's growing. I've watched it. the first year had 6 teams. That's when Casey first created it. Next year 8. This year 12. And I know leagues aren't easy to go hard every year after year after year with the with the upkeep and costs. So to watch it grow, something good, it's something's good is there, which it is. I've seen it. So awesome stadium you play at. It's almost like baseball vacation for a month. You're in a vacation area. Parents come out. They all these parents fly in because they're in a vacation spot. They watch their kid play. They can kind of hang out, do their thing. It's beautiful. So it's a very good setup. Very good setup to be successful. He keeps all the coaches I'm starting to meet, same coaches coming back, all awesome guys. All awesome people working the media, the people that are handling all the costs and the payments, and I know all those people. So it's all good people. So it's that's the basics of it. The kids they all get similar innings. We try to keep the roster spots low so everybody's playing. And a few practices throughout the month, but developmental. We definitely let them have the freedom to play, but our job as coaches in the developmental league is to watch them and truly help them get better and teach them as this stuff is going. So it's like, we want to win, but at the same time, it's summer ball, and it's like you want to get something out of this too.
Sure. Well, let me ask your opinion on something, because I asked Justin this, and this is just kind of based on the current situation where I can tell you I don't know anything. Nobody has a date. Nobody knows how things are going to go. I think the only thing we can all kind of agree on is nothing's going to be the same. Recruiting, coaching, classes, So as you're talking about this, I'm thinking I can see that league growing even more, because you're going to have such a truncated schedule when and if things open normally for guys to get time and get innings and get playing time. And those high school seniors, think about all those kids that were prepping for being ready to go to campus for a D1, or your guys coming into the junior college that haven't done anything live, hadn't really seen, some kids might have cages in their backyard, but I can kind of see a league like that almost doubling, because you have so many guys trying to get caught up on reps and because nobody knows when it's going to start.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So we've already seen some of that, like where some leagues decided early that they weren't going to operate.
Okay.
And we would, obviously the longer it looks like things are going to run, and if you're going to operate and you're able to do that, you're getting all the runoff from all these guys that don't have a place to play. A big league is the what's the biggest college summer league? The Cape Cod League.
Yeah.
Not having it.
Yeah.
So, it's like, where do those guys go?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. It's like, and from a recruiting standpoint, the guys that were registering and signing up, I'm like D1.
Yeah.
You could tell it was like, man, the competition this year is going to be awesome, and I do think that is happening right now to a certain degree. And then, like you said, this summer is very important because guys, there's going to be a lot of high school kids, I think, that are going to commit way later because maybe summer ball is their chance to put themselves out there and just have some, because right now nobody can meet up with anybody.
Right.
No one can go face to face. All you can do is go on your computer. And we've been doing this, and it gets, I don't want to say it gets overwhelming. It just gets boring. Watching video kid.
Yeah.
Look at this. You just sit in front of that computer all day. But it's all you can do.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily there's so much good with those type of websites too, where you can go on there and it's just kids from all over California, and you type their stuff in, and you can. Man, that's a beautiful thing. It's
like
well.
Shopping.
Oh my gosh. So you can cover so much ground.
Yeah.
So quickly. So it's good as well. But I think what a cool moment will be when this all gets. When I don't know if it's going to be like, all right, the whole United States, you're free to go nuts. But I think it's going to be a cool moment when things clear up and like everyone starts getting the okay to play sports again.
Sure.
I think maybe it will make us all realize how awesome this is, and we take it for granted because we can do this every day. We can be with our team, our guys. We can practice. We can play. We can go to the gym. And it's never been something that we ever have to worry about.
Yeah.
So maybe that's one positive that we can take out of it is whenever we get the okay to get back out there, you soak it in a little bit more, you enjoy it a little bit more than before.
Yeah.
That's kind of I think that's going to be a cool moment. Everyone posting videos up and stuff,
Sure.
and we can kind of all get back to doing our thing.
Yeah, it's interesting that you can look forward to moments like that now because of kind of where we've gone. Social media and the internet and things like that. You can post moments that were kind of reserved for just in your mind memory. Now everyone can view them, and until you mentioned it right now, I never thought about that because for day-to-day coaching, it's been 10, 12, 15 years for me. I do the travel stuff, but it's just kind of with our group of guys, and it's not as day-to-day, as that relationship. And so as I'm thinking just in general, family relationships are going to change because of how you are now. And we talked earlier with Justin about people not having that every weekend game and tournament. So you've had to spend more time with your family. I say had to because some people haven't experienced it because they're younger and they've been doing tournaments and soccer and things like that. Well, as a coach now, there's that component that you haven't been involved in because you haven't seen your guys day to day. You didn't see them on campus last season. And I think depending on where you were when everything stopped, you may not even really had a chance to talk to your guys before everything broke up and the school said, hey, no more on campus, no more practices. Tell me a little bit about what you think that's going to be like for you with your players, the guys coming back relationship wise.
I'll say this: whenever we first found out the news that this was all happening, it was very confusing at the beginning when this was all going down because we're like in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
And, are we playing tomorrow? And it was when it first started happening, and we get all these updates. But the guys handled it so well. They were our goal was like keep lifting, keep throwing, keep hitting. Even though if it has to be by yourself, send me video. I want to see what you guys are doing. Just trying to keep things moving, and keep guys doing things. And they did awesome with that. Like we actually made a big video of everybody, and there's like one kid doing shoulder press with a broom with trash bags hanging from the side, and they're just basically finding any way they can do anything, kind of finding some fun in the situation.
Yeah.
But no, they still send me videos. It's been a month, probably month, 2 months, and they're still. I tell them the big difference will be there's going to be a lot of kids not doing anything.
Yeah.
So don't be those kids.
Sure.
Don't take advantage of this. I think I saw something on. I hate looking at social media for so long every day, but there's not much to do right now. But you see some good stuff on there. Mm-hmm. Like I forget what it said, but something along the lines of like, when this is all over and you don't come out any better, on this, you might as well pack it in, like this is, or something along those lines. But like making something better with all this downtime, is basically simply what it was stating. But I think once the summer starts up, summer class, and I'll see because it's online. The fall, I think they said, is going to be online.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. It's any sports where you can't be in person. Yeah. Jeez. If that's all we can do, we're all in the same boat. There might be other areas in the United States that aren't, but I know that that's what we're preparing for, and it's going to be a lot of Zoom meetings going over baseball strategy, talking baseball, maybe showing videos, and going, showing me videos of them swinging one-on-one, almost like a lesson,
Sure.
Set your camera up, or everybody, maybe we do a full body workout where you don't need anything. You could just be in front of your camera, pull-ups, push-up, this, that. Maybe we go run through some, just got to get creative.
Yeah.
But that's what we're up against. And especially with the new kids, like our new class coming in, the new guys that are committing, it's going to be very weird to be coaching them and teaching. I never met them yet in person.
Right.
I don't know if that ban will get lifted, if we can meet with them, or one-on-one masks. I know that they're giving us an idea of what to be ready for, but they're still like this isn't 100%, this, that, the other.
Yeah.
So just, it's tough. We're just all kind of floating around waiting to be told what we're going to be able to do and not do, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, like I said, I try not to be too negative about it because I know I'm not the only one. We're not the only one. And,
Sure.
And tough times happen, and you can always say it could be worse, and just got to try to stay, especially for them. And if we're the leaders for them, we got to stay positive and just make it work.
Right. Yeah, and it is, a lot on this show with other coaches and players, we talk a lot about how, your role changes from player to coach to assistant coach to head coach. And, if you're in the recruiting end of it, or if you're in a different line of baseball, your relationship with your players evolves. And this is definitely a time for everyone to be creative. And I think it's going to be more fundamental, I think, for coaches, especially younger guys like you that are more in that online generation. You might be able to do a lot more of that going forward with your guys coming in, so I can maximize my time more and I can get to more of my guys, because there's a lot of times where at that level you have guys that are just a turn of the screwdriver away, or guys that might need just a little bit of tweaking, but they don't know how to do it on their own. They just know how to go in there and start banging on the tee. But if they've got you working with them a half hour or 35 minutes a night on something, they can have a better direction. Or, for me, I was always kind of a really type A. I would sit up at night and I would make 4 different practices, and depending on how things were in the morning, we're going with this one, and then make them again, just to be prepared for anything. And this is a situation where there's so many different directions this can go, so I'm curious on how everyone's going to handle that. So for you right now, how is the recruiting going? I mean, how are you kind of connecting with guys? Are you using a lot of the online services, or just kind of referrals from other coaches? Or
so it's been a little bit we do, like, at the moment we have, that's really all we can do the most is like the online stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like endless. There's so many kids on those things. Yeah. Like I said, which is cool, but and with this downtime, every day it's like if my college is paying me money, that's my job every morning. So That's what I've been doing. I wake up, make breakfast, and I just start going, and I've talked to so many kids. You have to be very organized, you know, on who you talk to, what you talk about, what year, what position, things like that. So if you stay organized, those websites are very, very, they do such an awesome job. That's a great tool for us to have. But we also get, I'll give you a good example. We have a catcher who committed to us. He's coming from Michigan. His name is Jake Martin. He knew about me because of the Pecos League show, and that was probably 5 years ago, 6, something like that. Mm-hmm. So he would have been 12, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I guess he just kept following me, and he said, "Hey, I'm in college now. I've watched you for a long time. I think I want to come out there and play for you." You know, and guys that know Casey and follow Casey's stuff, and so there are kids coming from out of state, just a little random, you know. But and then coach, a big part of it too is just from our baseball travels and people we know and coaches and players. All the players that were my age now are also coaching somewhere else. So a lot of those guys see what I'm doing, and they'll say, "Hey, what's going on? What positions you need? What do you need over there? Are you interested in this guy?" And so I'm not saying we're the most well-connected people in the world. I'm just saying your baseball connections over time. Now you could see that paying off now a little bit. Yeah. Is those guys all being in a similar route that I'm in, and if they're a high school coach, they have a college in California they can send them. And so we get that happens from time to time as well. And then our local guys, we always try to we got a good chunk of local talent, which was awesome, and we did that as well. That's not complicated. You get to know your local coaches that are all in the area. And you keep in contact with them and ask them who you think would be a good fit, message the players and stuff like that. So we've been doing all that stuff, and it's just you just gotta keep rolling. Yeah. It's, for us too, we're in a position where I think that this baseball program has been average in the past couple of years, and if we're gonna turn it around quickly, we need to go hard on recruiting. You know what I mean? We can't sit back. Yeah. Where maybe some other colleges that are established and things like that, where they can maybe pick and choose what position they need. To me, and this is just being brutally honest, I want everything new. Right. So I do like some of the guys we do have coming back, but I've watched this program for the last 3 years. We need strength everywhere. We need depth everywhere. So where I'm recruiting, I think I might have to go 2 or 3 times harder than the next guy just because we're starting from scratch. It almost feels like, So we've been doing that basically every day, and it goes well. You talk to all these kids, and I feel for a lot of them. I can't even imagine not having a senior year of sports. Like that's the best year. That's your strongest, smartest, you know what I mean? Most confident usually. That's everyone's coming to watch you, your exposure. And to just have that taken away or just not be a thing, man. I'm just like, I can't even relate. Like I tried to, and I'm just, because I think of my senior year and how important it was.
Sure.
And how fun it was, for football and baseball, and how big my senior year of baseball was for me to get me where I went, like if I only had a junior year, I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My senior year was so good. That's what set me up. So yeah, it's tough. Like I said, when I'm talking to these kids, I try to not be negative, because like I said, they're looking to us for answers and guidance and things like that.
Yeah.
So I try not to be like, yeah, man, this sucks. What are you going to do? Best of luck out there. You got to try to keep them up. So.
Well, I think a couple of things. You mentioned so many points that I kind of want to follow up on. So one of them is when you're doing the recruiting online, it's interesting now that there's so many different avenues to see kids. And, it's interesting that here you being in California now and you're recruiting guys in Michigan, when you came from Pittsburgh and now we're back out here. So you can probably notice as well being in the area now, you originally had come out here and that you had talked traditionally about Texas and Florida and Arizona and those being the hotbeds. Well, just in your area alone, I don't know how many high schools there are now, 20, maybe more than that, but you think there's plenty of talent out there. And that's one of the things that I've liked watching some of the new coaches at the Division I and the Division II and 3 schools out in the area focus a little more internal and understand that, hey, rather than trying to fight with kids to bring them in, let's keep the good ones here and have them help us develop. I think there's enough talent in Southern California for every one of our schools to be a strong powerhouse school. There's just too many kids that want to get away. And, you're probably having an easier time remembering back when you were 17 than when I was, but they all tend to want to have that, I got to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to stay close. I grew up in Indio. I grew up in Palm Desert. I want to leave. And then they end up coming back because there's really nothing different. I have to work. Coach is going to be demanding of me. He's going to want me to grow. He's going to want me to develop. He's, all the particulars that I'm looking for are right here under my nose. And I think getting those guys from your area to see that, and then the recruiting now that you can, for lack of a better word, you can recruit globally now, which is kind of cool for you as a coach, I think.
See, this is what we battle right now is the whole Coachella Valley area. I last year I got to coach with Coco Crisp at Shadow Hills. Mm-hmm. So I got to get a little feel for like the high school scene in our area. And I learned a lot by talking to those kids, hearing them talk, because I was also assistant at College of the Desert. Mm-hmm. And of course, like some of the better kids, I'd be like, hey, what do you think about COD next year? And honestly, that being brutally honest again, average program in the past, that's not a top pick for good players. It's not a top pick for the top athletes, is what it is. And I get it, because if I put myself in their shoes, I get it, I think where they should look deeper into it is just our coaching staff and who we have and what we're capable of doing for kids that have talent.
Sure.
Casey Dill is a great baseball person with a lot of connections and can send these kids where they need to go. You basically have an MLB scout on your coaching staff watching you every day.
Yeah.
He coaches for the Power. All these D1 programs send him D1 kids every summer. He knows all of them. So it's like it's right here. It's right here but they see the record and shy away from that. And I get it. Like I said, I was a great player in high school. If a college contacted me that was 5 minutes away and they were 5 and 15, I'd be like, absolutely not. Yeah. I don't care what coaches are over there. So it's going to be a challenge to get things moving in the right direction. Get our names out there. The way we coach, word of mouth, and I know that. I know that it's not going to be the automatic turnaround in 1 year. So. But it's definitely something that, we hope people pick up on and look into us and look into what we have going on. Because, like you said, it's if you take a step back and look what's there, and you're in California, and this is where all the exposure's at, and it's the baseball state, also there's been kids that say they want to leave California. I'm like, please don't do that. Like it depends on your scenario, I guess, but. I guess being a Pittsburgh person, I'm like, this is where this whole side is trying to go. We
Yeah.
want to go to these main areas.
Yeah.
Don't leave here. This is where everyone's at. This is
Yeah.
where the scouts want to be. This is where players want to be. Coaches want to be. It's just like anything. Where do you want to go coach? Where do you want to go scout? Somewhere nice and sunny and awesome. So.
Well, and even like you were just talking about with your recruiting, now more than ever, you don't need to go anywhere to be seen. I mean, on those videos that you're getting in these scouting services, they're literally putting you in front of coaches all over the country, and probably a lot of schools you've never even heard of. When we give the recruiting speeches to our players and the different things that I do, inevitably you ask them, and there's always those top 10 teams that everyone knows from ESPN. Okay, why do you want to go there? Well, because they're in the top 10. Okay, so you're at that 10 school. Do you think that you're going to put them at number 5? You don't think there's 35 other guys already that are trying to put them up? What makes you think you can go in and be one of those top 35 guys that's going to move them up the ladder? Oh, I don't know. Well, they're already in the top 10. What do they need you for? How about one of these schools that's not on the list and you be the guy that puts them in the top 10? Sometimes having that confidence, I think a lot of high school players don't want to take that accountability, or they don't want to come off as boastful and say, hey, I want to take that school that was 5 and whatever, and I want to help them get to 500.
Risky.
Yeah.
It sounds very risky and scary, for a top arm to go, I'm going to go try to turn this program around on my own and go knock off all these top teams when they start me against them. It's a risky move.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I mean. I'm a reasonable person, like I get it. I get when we go after these top guys, I get where they're coming from, and it's just that's until we get things moving and our record's better and we can compete better and we got more talent coming in. It might be tough to get the 88 to 90 arm, and things like that. So, but we're up for the challenge. That's definitely something that's gonna be tough to do. But I think we're moving in the right direction. Got good guys behind me that make it very much more helpful. Like we were saying, the guys you have with you, your coaching staff, and how helpful and how knowledgeable they are. My guys, it's a crew that I'm happy that I brought with me, and with Casey and Reed Santos, my pitching coach. He was actually with me the 2 years we were both the assistants. So I've known both of them for 3 years or so, and awesome guys. So we got a good staff. I'm excited to get started. Yeah,
that's actually kind of the backstory of why I started doing this. Was a lot of times players don't actually really know the coaches at the schools right in their own backyard. And you forget sometimes when you're just going through the websites and you see a face and you see this bio and you kind of make a judgment based on what you read. It's like that snapshot. But now that you've got things online and social media that you can get to know people, you mentioned that the player that was following you get to know people. And I think that's one of the things for players, to kind of put them at ease and be okay to talk to you, ask you questions, be more involved in their career as far as it goes with college baseball. Hey, I'm talking to Coach and he seems like we're going in the same direction. He seems like he has the same vision for my career that I do. This feels like a good fit for me. And look beyond the program, look beyond the record, look beyond the baseball field. Now's one of those times where if I'm sitting at home and I'm a high school player, I'm going through every school I can, because you go to these websites and you can pretty much figure everything you need to know about a college. Classes, tuition, pricing, what's close by. You can look at the location of the school. You can do a lot of your visits online. And so for you, I think this is a good opportunity for you to kind of put yourself in front of people. And it's interesting how 10 years ago when a lot of this started, I sat with college coaches, when we're traveling on the road and you're following kids on social media just to see what they put on. Well, now that role's kind of flipped, because now the players can watch you as a coach and go, hey, what is this guy doing this for?
Absolutely.
So you have to be a little bit more
very careful.
Yeah, you have to be very careful.
And I'm a little wild too in my ways. So it's like every now and then I got to be like, ooh, yeah, I'm the coach now. I got to watch, it's just growing up. And because like half my brain still is like crazy baseball person.
Sure.
And the other half is like run this team and be the head coach,
But that's the best part about it. Because
but it's good to have a little bit of both, though, honestly. You got to.
But I think about it, though. If you're a young you, right, you're not going to go online and find that coach that's, we're going to do it this way, we're going to do it this way. You're going to look right at that and go, that's not going to work for me very long. And understand, hey, I need someone that's a little bit rah-rah. I need someone that's got a lot of fire and energy. I need a guy that's my leader, but he feels like he could just jump in there with me and be a part of that game.
Absolutely.
You know, it's finding that fit. And so I think being able to put yourself in front of an audience of young players, it really helps, because that's part of it. You know, I'm going to spend 2 years with you, and I don't want to get out of class and go, oh, gosh, I got to go to practice. You know, I want to be fired up about it. I want to go and play for that coach. I want to learn something from that coach. I like the energy he brings me, or I like the way he just gives me room to go about my business, or, you know, finding that right fit. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to do with this show, was give coaches an opportunity to be yourself. Get on there and talk and let everybody know, hey, I'm just a regular guy that's gone through the process, and right now this is where I am in my baseball journey, and I want to help you get to this point. And if you go past me, great. I'll be the first guy holding your shoes up and lifting you up. But I think that's the best part about it. So give me a couple things, being there now in that desert area and being at COD, a couple of things that you envision for the program, maybe some things that you'd like to upgrade the facilities, maybe some different things you'd like to implement that would maybe set you guys apart.
I would say one big thing that I know that we need to implement, and which we did last year. I think this year it's gonna, like I said, the unknowns make this tough again. But a very, very, very organized weightlifting program. Okay. Because to me, in these past 3 years, we are always a very small team. These other teams come in and they look like I remember so many times where, like, the team will be sitting here and I'll go, guys, look at this team coming in right now. They look like a football team, like football players, big legs, big arms. And then you look at our bench and it's like, man, you know, so, and I'm a big weight room person. I always have been forever. And Reed, my pitching coach, is a personal trainer. So, like, it works out perfect. So this year we hit that much more serious. We got hired so late. I think we got hired maybe like 3 months before the fall started. So last year was hit the ground running. We didn't get to recruit. We didn't have a ton of this stuff like locked in like we wanted to. But we put it together, you know, as simply as we could, as quickly as we could. But I know this year coming up, we wanted to do way more specific workouts for, like, our position guys, and then for our pitchers, and then also bringing in Zach Novus, who does a driveline arm program for the pitchers, trying to add maybe, you know, to every guy 3 more miles per hour, you know, or create a goal like that. I think those things were all missing. You know what I mean? Yeah. From when I've been there in the past as the assistant. So much more strength, and strengthening the body and trying to grow some bodies a little bit, and not being afraid to put some heavy weight, you know, here and there. Even or this year, same thing, like in the weight room, and I'll watch, and, you know, and I'm hard on them when I need to be. There's a lot of times where I watch, and I'm watching guys bench, and I'm like, and this is just, once again, brutally honest, which I am a lot, is I'll be looking around, I'm like, I was doing times 10 of this when I was high school, when I was in high school playing football, benching, 225, squat, tons of weight, all this stuff, like, and just advanced in the weight room, you know, but we had good weightlifting coaches in high school. Yeah. And in college, awesome weightlifting coaches, you know, so I think that it was lacking big time. You watch them and it's like they're clueless and not a lot of weight's getting put on, and we're all skinny, and so I think that's something that we're trying to switch up, you know, and even with the guys we're looking at, you know, for scouting players and recruiting players, you know, doesn't mean we're not going to take somebody that's not 6'2", 200 pounds, no matter what, you know. I'm still a fan of the small. I wasn't always the biggest guy, so it's not like we just sweep them under the rug. It's just overall, I think, strengthening guys. This day and age, my God, look at the athletes. Look what everybody has access to, and that's all everybody does. Bigger, stronger, faster. Everybody just keeps the bar keeps raising. So to have a program and just not take weight room serious, and I think that just leaves you right here. It's going to be hard to shoot up, you know. So that's definitely something that we need to take more serious. So that would be my best answer for that. It's my number one priority. Is to get them at least knowledgeable and comfortable in there. Yeah,
and that falls in line with the whole development part of that program and that level of program, because you're trying to move guys on to the next level. And if that's one of the things I need to work on, then that's the place to do it. A lot of times at the high school level, it's tough too, because when I was coaching in high school, I tried to implement weights, and I found out I spent more time chasing the guys that didn't want to lift around than focusing on the guys that did. You know, you also have that high school ego. You know, there's always going to be those big, strong guys with the natural bodies, and they're lifting and they're comfortable with it. And then the other guy that's just there with the bar, he doesn't want to get picked on, doesn't want to get, teased about it. So we actually just went in the other direction, and we just created a lot of agility, a lot of body strength type stuff. We just stayed on the field.
Yeah.
We just did it out in the outfield. And I figured, hey, I've got a lot of smaller guys. I don't have a lot of big bodies anyway. We're going to have to move fast. We're going to have to cover ground and be agile. So we're going to move in a different direction. So we had to get creative with base running and footwork and lateral movement and things like that. And so there's always a different way to go, because I figured when they got to the next level, they'd be a little more mature. And
it's good to do all of it. Honestly, like that's the challenge. Is like you have a week and you have to practice, but you want to do agility and speed.
Sure.
But you want to lift weights. You want to do arm care program. You know what I mean? They got to go to class. So that becomes the challenge. It's like how you map it out. You know, that's why like if you start to put it all together, the 6 a.m. workout almost has to start happening, because it's like, how are you going to get all this in?
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and then why that also to me that felt a little tough doing the really early stuff, because if you don't have guys that are all in and true baseball kids, they don't want to wake up at 6 a.m.
No.
I was a baseball person. I don't want to wake up at 6 a.m. You know? So that also just getting a feel for your kids and trying to map out how you're going to do all this throughout the week and things like that, I think is a challenge. But everything always goes so much smoother when you have guys that love it. They want to be there. They like the coaches. They want to give you effort. They like their team. You know, they like the atmosphere. So to make all that happen, you gotta create that.
Sure.
You know, if they don't want to be there, who the hell wants to get up at 6 a.m. at a team they don't even want to be there for?
Right.
For a coach they don't like.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So, yeah. So all that stuff. You know, I'm trying to. This is just my first, kind of my first as head coach, and seeing all this for the first time and mapping it out and trying to put it all together, So, but it is, I'm enjoying it right now. There's some challenges, it has its ups and downs and things like that, but I'm definitely enjoying it. I lift with them. Me and Reed, we both lift. We're in our mid-30s, and we're, like I said, we're more of weight room type guys, so we're very active with them.
Sure.
Do base running with them, and I try to run and do all, try to show. So I do have my moments where I'm like, God damn, I wish I could.
Yeah. Well, it does make it a little bit more of a push when your coaches are out there running with you. And there is something to be said where you tell the guys, hey, I'm not asking you to do anything I'm not doing myself. Here, see, I'm out here running, so don't tell me you can, or don't tell me you can't work out.
So I wake up the next day.
Yeah. Well, then you got to hide it. That's when you really got to, sell that, pop out on the field with just as much energy moving around, even though it's killing you. So next reason that I brought you in, you have a passion project that you work on.
Oh, yeah.
And, when we started contacting each other online, I started looking into it a little bit, and I mentioned to you it looked really cool. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted you to tell me about it rather than me try to piece it together. So go ahead and let everyone know about your project and your nonprofit.
So SD Project.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, we've been that was actually a small local idea when I was still doing lessons and stuff, when I would be at home in Pittsburgh in the winters, and I would run into a lot of scenarios where I would have kids come in, and they would come in for maybe one lesson or one camp, and their parents would pull me aside and say, hey, we just don't have the money for this type of stuff. We don't have the right equipment. We just think we're going to have to pull them out of sports, this, that, the other. And man, I first started getting a lot of that when I was young, probably 23, 24. And I felt like I wasn't in a really good position to be able to make any significant changes for people's lives and like help them. I'm barely getting by myself, chasing my baseball stuff, and trying to lock in on that. Chasing something that big involves everything you have, that's, it kind of always, it would like be a thought, but then I'd be like, I can't do that right now, and I think once I started getting to like 25, 26, my career started winding down, and it happened. So Beaver County, it just happened a lot. There's a lot of areas that are low income areas. Mm-hmm. So there was one instance that was a really tough scenario where this kid had a bone disease, and he had to stay active to not hurt. If you don't do anything, you get real sore. I think his mother was telling me that she had it, and he has it as well. He doesn't really know yet, and they said the cheapest route was, and this went on for like 3 months. They were asking me for help, and I'm like, just keep coming in, it's not that big a deal. You're $20,
Yeah.
And I just said, I'll figure something out. And that really like kicked me in the ass to do something. I was like, now I told these people I'll help them. So what I started to do was I just asked my family and friends and teammates and just people close to me. I said, hey, I got this situation. Do you want to almost donate? Think of it as like a sponsorship or something. Just told them what was going on. Every single person I asked, $20, $50, $100, 20, they were all in. So and then what somebody encouraged me to do is make a GoFundMe. So instead of, this is where like the broader idea came, just randomly was, instead of making it just for that family, I made it for like any family in Beaver County. I made it for anybody. If whatever money this raises, I didn't know how much I'm going to raise.
Sure.
So I'm thinking at the best, like 1,000, 2,000. So I posted that up and just said, any sports, boy, girl, Beaver County area, anybody that's struggling, anyone that has a story that needs help to keep playing sports, we got this money set aside, maybe we can help them. That was the idea. So I posted that up and it went nuts, like hundreds of shares and thousands of dollars coming in, and it was a crazy moment, honestly. I was so excited to go tell those people we raised all this money. Like you'll be good for a year, you know? So this is the craziest part of the story is I never got a hold of them ever again. They never answered my text.
Wow.
No phone calls. Like I just fell off the map. And that's why this whole thing even got started.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a crazy story that because of this family is why we've helped thousands of people and went to 6 different countries and have done all this crazy stuff in the last 5 years in this official nonprofit. And none of it would have happened if this family didn't like push me to do this. Crazy to look back on. So that's really how it started. And we just post up the kid, the struggle they're going through. We type it out. We try to be respectful, on what works. And you literally get to see where your money went to,
Okay.
So I think that's why it goes a long way. I think people really like that. It's very personable where we show everything we do.
Sure.
Rather than, and like, I think a bigger company, sometimes it's just like, it goes to a mass amount. It's
Right.
like, it's going to something good.
Yeah.
But I think, and some people really want it to grow and get so much bigger, and I think it might lose that a little bit. So at the moment, for how busy I am and how this works, I like it right now.
Well, it's almost an extension of coaching as you're describing it, because when I had Justin in here earlier, we had talked about how it's interesting that when you're a player, and you're not in the negative way, but you're almost have to be selfish as a player because you're concerned about my development, my growth, my movement up. And then as you evolve away from it, part of it being maturity and part of it being just your evolution in baseball, you become more for others. You become more about seeing that improvement. And so as a coach, as you were doing lessons and then now as a coach, you get to see that improvement in that one player. And for you having a team, it's in multiple players, but it's in all different directions. And so you kind of give people that donate to that one player a chance to see their growth and development, and they can actually see how their sponsorship or how their participation helped that one player go in the right direction. And that's kind of a unique feeling. When you take it to that larger level, like you said, you don't really ever see it, because most people don't ever talk about it. They're so busy fundraising or they're so busy doing that part of it, you never get to personalize it with that one. So as you're telling me, tell me some of the things that you've done out of the country. I know we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, we have a good one coming up. We're just locked. We can't go do it. I can't wait. So we started out by going to Colombia.
Okay.
We went to Medellin, Colombia. And we, one of my best friends he basically, you could say, almost works for the company, He's gone to every place I've been to, and we've done a lot together. His name is Richie Saratelli. He's from Chicago. He played pro ball out in Colombia, so he had a little connection there. And what they had to do as players was help the poverty areas, go teach them baseball, so he had that connection. So he's like, they saw what we were doing, and he's like, maybe I should get a hold of it, maybe we can go out there. So that was the first time we got to leave the country and help a big group of kids. We brought in a ton of equipment probably like 400 pounds, just us two bringing. You should see how much. It's almost ridiculous. There's got to be a better way. But at the time, we didn't, we're just excited to go. We filled up 4 huge hockey bags. Can't even carry them because they're so heavy, bats. And so our first time doing it was pretty raw. We didn't know what we were doing. But it's always awesome at the end.
Yeah.
We taught hundreds of kids down there. We brought in hundreds of pounds of equipment. And got to see just how they live and kind of the streets. And man, we make videos on all of them. Like if you go on our social media, I think at Facebook it's the SD Project, Instagram the SD Project, tons of stuff. We put up a lot of videos and pictures and things we've done and what's coming up. And you meet the guys that are on board with us. There's a lot to see. But Columbia was our first one. And then we went to, this was a ridiculous one too. Same things because we just don't know what we're doing. Yeah. And to go to places like this, you really need to, you learn a lot quickly. Like if we had to go again, it would go much smoother. We went to Zimbabwe, Africa, and flew into Johannesburg airport and got picked up by, his name was Philip, who, don't ask me how we found this place, but it's not on Google. It's not. It was an orphanage in a place called Wanga, Africa. Wow. And it took, he drove I think he drove maybe like 12 hours to come get us. Wow. 12 hours to come pick us up from the airport and drive back 12 hours. And then take us back to the airport when we were done. Man. Smile the whole time on his face. Unbelievable. That man was mentally, that was the toughest thing I've ever had to do. Just travel that far and then live like they do for about a week. I think we were there for a week. No water, no showers, no hot water, no electricity, all solar. People literally living in huts, and it's like you're living in a village, like a village with no access to anything. It was unreal. And when you hear, like when I hear that, I'm like, oh, cool. Man, it changes your way of thinking. Like when you go to a place like that, you go to Zimbabwe, Africa, you go to an orphanage in the middle of nowhere, and you go there to help people. You go there to help them. And then 3 years later, I look back on it, and just the way it changed my way of thinking and how I view things differently. Like when I go in my shower, I think of Zimbabwe, Africa every single time I go in my shower. It's just in my brain. I can't help it. Warm water like this. Turn the lever, warm water. Yeah. For as long as I want. It's like... And it just does these little things to you that help you now. Like it helped that trip we go to help them, but it helps you in weird ways and to be grateful and view things differently. Like when we had to eat dinner, we have to go. They capture a goat, like 10 people would skin all the fur off, clean it. Little kids are going out and throwing it. Like everybody helping. Everyone has a duty. Yeah. And to feed everybody, you get like this much meat and like a little thing of like paste rice or something. And it takes like all day. It took like all afternoon, all day. So we go to Ralph's and we go in and it's like, boom, boom, gone, done. There's my meat. It's like, but you would never view it like that until you're stuck in that scenario to do that, So, but we went there we took tons of soccer equipment. This wasn't even a baseball trip. We did soccer. Under Armour helped us with uniforms. We did shoes, spikes for them, uniforms, soccer balls, nets. Half of them didn't even wear the shoes because they were uncomfortable because they don't wear shoes. So you put their feet are shaped differently from never wearing shoes, and you got these little skinny soccer shoes. So half of them put them on, just flung them over their shoulders. Said, nope, not for me. Yeah. That was crazy to see. But that was an awesome trip. Driving and there's like elephants and giraffes and. That was something else. But we want to go back there. We still talk to Philip. We still talk to those people out there. Which one was next? We did an orphanage in Mexico with my college players. Okay. So I want to do that again coming up. I was able to involve my college guys. We took they're all similar. We go coach baseball, coach, try to lift them up, do some sports type stuff, bring in some equipment, things they're not used to having. But we drove across the border and did that. And we went to Belize and took Richie went by himself. I was too busy coaching. I said, hey, you want to go to Belize, take a bunch of gear over? Absolutely. He didn't even think twice. So he went over there to Belize and did that by himself. We did Dominican Republic. I went with 2 ex-pro players I played with and a college teammate. We all went there. There was days we had 300 kids at once. 4 of us teaching. We don't speak Spanish.
Wow.
There's a couple translators and things like that. But man, they're all so happy. They're the happiest people. They don't have anything. They're happy as hell. Like it's crazy to watch.
Sure.
Honestly, telling you, it teaches you something. It does something to you, and it makes you think. You're just like, how are they? They have nothing. They're 100 times happier than everybody back in the United States. You know, like. But I mean, that's not always the case, but it's kind of obvious, you know.
And I think it's great that you can include your players, because I think the younger you learn that, the better it is for you going forward. And I think that's just kind of something in our culture a lot of times. You know, I'm sure you've met a lot of entitled type people, and they think they understand that, but unless you've been around people in that situation, or you've been to places where that situation exists, it's not the same as experiencing it. And I think for players, again, because, you know, as you know, you're just part of the ladder for them, and knowing from the side of the game you've come from, baseball may not be the direction you're going to take the rest of your life. You know, you're going to have to do something different for the world, or just for people in general. And so the more experience you have, I think it's going to make you better at everything else going forward. So your kids are going to understand the privilege that they have just to be at a university and learn how to play, or just to, like you said, go to Ralph's and pull a steak off of the rack and I'm cooking it 5 minutes later. You know, when you have other places where just to get water, it's a lot of work. You know, you just turn it on a faucet. And so I think those kind of things are great for college, and if they're in an opportunity, high school level type kids would be great for that. So going forward, what is something that you want to do next with your program, or what's your vision for the next step?
So we have there's a group of kids in Cameroon. The place is called Cameroon.
Okay. In
Africa, and they have sent me videos. Man, probably a year now. They keep in touch with me, and there is I forget that there's a head guy that has all these kids under his little. He teaches them baseball.
Okay.
And it's such like a pure thing to watch. Like you could just tell, you see it in their faces, they take it so serious. There's like always like 20 of them. The surroundings are bad. You know, it just looks like there's not much there, you know, and what you think of when you go to a country that doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
And all these kids are locked in, like their faces, and they makeshift tees and makeshift bats and the balls they're using, and they all take it so serious, and I don't know why I'm just so gravitated towards this group, and we want to go. Like I'm ready to go. We have the money. I told the guys I want to go with me, and we just keep, like this was going to start to take place soon, and we can't go.
Yeah.
So that is my number one. Like that's what's going to be as soon as I get some time to, you know, or we know we can do our thing, and we got a couple, because this is where I'm bad with this. I always want to go so quickly.
Yeah.
Like like give me a month, I'll have it ready. And all the people I want to take with me are like, what do you think? Like 6 months? What do you think? Well, I'm like, well, 6 months.
Yeah.
I was like, no, let's go this month.
Yeah.
You know, I can't, like once I want to do something, I'm too excited to go do it. And a month is all I need. I'm telling you. So as soon as we get the okay, that's where I'm definitely going. I want to go there. It's locked into my brain. And then there's another place where I think I'm just going to do this one by myself. I actually had this scheduled and I had to cancel my flight. I was going to go to New Orleans. There's a young athlete who just I think he's probably like 6, 7, but just was able to get out of. He had a surgery, able to get out of his walk. I think he was using the canes and was in a walker or a wheelchair for basically his whole life. And he got a surgery where he can use the canes and like start strengthening and walking. He's walking by himself, and these videos are just, they'll rip your heart out, you know. And and it's cool to be in a position where you see that blow up on social media, and instead of just be like, oh, this is awesome, I can be like, I can do something here.
Sure.
Like, so I do that a lot. Like when I see something I like or something, because we help handicap kids as well.
Okay.
You know, because to me it's a struggle. Just as much of a struggle as if you're struggling financially, that's a struggle more than anything, you know.
Sure.
So with those kids, it's usually like I've traveled across the country to go visit kids that have disability, just to let them tell us their story and put them out there to let them know we think they're awesome and to keep going and I'll go just for that.
Sure.
You know, bring them some gear, hook them up for just being, you know, strong and to keep rolling.
Yeah.
So there's this little kid. All these videos, they'll kill you. They're so awesome. And I think he's with a single mother, and it's perfect. It's just the whole thing all put together. Something I want to do, and I just flipped it like that. I wrote a message. I started doing some homework. Where can I get a hold of this? You know, his parents. Sent a message, told him what I wanted to do. Yeah, that's cool. And I was gonna fly there, but that's on hold. So those two things, as soon as this stuff gets cleared, is what we have coming up.
And now people can reach you through all of those, Instagram and Facebook.
It's always just the SD project. It'll pop up one way or another.
Okay, that's good to know. So you can actually put that out, and then when we get all this edited and out, I'll give that to you, and you can put that out. And one of the things that we were trying to do, as I mentioned, with the baseball too, but any other projects that coaches have or that people we bring in have, you know, we definitely want to connect. You know, everything on social media is about likes and follows and things like that. So
I know how that stuff goes now.
You know, but now for projects like that, it's great because, you know, the people that follow us can follow you and people follow everyone else that we meet. And I think that goes back to the whole reason we started this is, you know, we're all connected somewhere. I mean, like I told you before, if you and I sit here long enough, we just start writing down names. Okay, that guy, I know him because he knows him and him.
Sports world is
and that's what's great.
The way it goes.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we'd never met before, only just exchanged, and I mean, I'm enjoying the conversation. I definitely now I want to make a point to come out when things get going and watch you run a practice and watch your energy and watch how you go about your part of baseball, you know, because you get to that point where it's cool to see how other guys do it. And not necessarily just the baseball part, but I want to see your interaction with the players and see your relationship with your guys. And because that's the part of it, you know, we're all going to be, your players are going to be sitting there someday and you're going to be sitting here someday, and you know, we just all pass things on. And so I was really interested about the project, and so I'm hoping that we can get some people to follow and some people to help sponsor some of those trips, and you know, definitely keep posting things that you want to do in the future, because again, you know, we all have different connections, and hopefully I know someone that can help you get something that's turning in your mind to go in the right direction. But you know, you're welcome back anytime. You know, now hopefully we'll have time. This was cool because I'm learning how to do this. You know, I'm not real savvy on the video. Fortunately, Adam's guys, you know, do a great job, and Adam's nice enough to let us use the studio. And you know, I'm thankful right now, other than all of the tragic things that are going on. In a normal season, we wouldn't have this time.
Yeah.
You'd be on the field, you'd be on a bus somewhere, you know, it'd be tough to get 5 minutes with you, even if I came out there before or after the game. But this gives us a chance to sit down and talk. And, you know, now if I have players that I'm working with out in that area, or players that might be looking to move back, now I know you. And I can say, hey, give him a call, sit down and talk to him. If it works, great. If not, even better. But you're going to learn something from him, you know. And everybody has something that they can pass on. And so I appreciate you making the drive out. I appreciate you coming out. And I definitely appreciate the hour that you gave me telling about it. It was great meeting you.
Yeah.
So thanks, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks. So again, folks, that's another episode, and we'll get this out soon to you. But I want to thank our sponsors, 100% Media, Chihuahua Cerveza. And again, I want to thank Coach Sam for coming out. If you get a chance, look him up at the SD Project. And if you're out in the desert area, get out and maybe catch in a game when things get going. That'll be hopefully coming up short. But until then, we'll catch you next time.